Today we'll learn the cornerstone of democratic societies, the principle of free speech. Free speech, in essence, is the right to express one's thoughts, ideas, and opinions without the fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction. The right to free speech extends beyond merely vocalizing opinions. It embraces diverse modes of expression, from writing and art to silent protests like taking a knee during the national anthem. It also covers wearing symbolic badges like those advocating for LGBTQ rights or armbands as evidenced by the Tinker case, where students wore black armbands in opposition to the Vietnam War. Additionally, free speech manifests in attire with messages such as "Let's Go Brandon" t-shirts or MAGA hat. To understand the roots of free speech, we must trace our steps to 1215 to a document named Magna Carta. While it primarily focused on the rights and powers of monarch and the barons, it laid the groundwork for individual rights by emphasizing the rule of law and due process. Fast forward to the 18th century, the framers of the U.S. Constitution were deeply influenced by the Enlightenment principle and the desire to prevent the tyranny they had just escaped from Britain. The Constitution meticulously crafted the First Amendment, ensuring that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. On the one hand, this amendment enshrines the fundamental right of every citizen to speak, write, and express themselves freely. This liberty forms the backbone of a thriving democracy, allowing individuals to critique, celebrate, and simply communicate their thoughts without fear of retribution. On the other hand, the First Amendment acts as a formidable barrier, establishing the limits of government authority over speech. In a society governed by laws, it's important to ensure that those in power don't suppress dissent voices or curtail the free flow of ideas. Public schools and universities operate under the umbrella of government entities, specifically falling within the executive branch of the government. In the United States, public schools are typically part of local school districts, which are governmental bodies responsible for education in certain jurisdictions. Similarly, public universities are often state-funded institutions, deriving a significant portion of their resources from taxpayers' funds. Because those educational institutions are considered extensions of the government, the actions they undertake, especially regarding the regulation of speech, are considered governmental actions. This relationship holds significant implications for school administrators and teachers. As a government employee, they cannot suppress dissenting views or curtail students' rights to free expression merely because they disagree with the content. This is a direct reflection of the First Amendment's application to protect individuals from governmental overreach in matters of speech. In understanding that educational institutions as extensions of the government, we are led to critical realization. Those establishments bear a unique responsibility in upholding the foundational tenets of democracy. It's not just about conveying information, but creating an environment where ideas can be freely expressed and challenged. The essence of educational environments underscores the importance of free speech, a cornerstone not just of education, but of the democratic fabric itself. Imagine a market, a bustling, vibrant place where goods are exchanged. There is a cacophony of voices, each vendor pitching their goods, with buyers examining, haggling, and deciding based on perceived value. This bustling scene of commerce is the epitome of vibrant competition and choice. Just as a free market of goods thrives on diversity and competition, so does the intellectual marketplace of ideas. In this marketplace of ideas, even the most unpopular ideas should have their space to be aired and tested. As in the most robust markets, it's the very inclusion of the unpopular, the contentious, that fuels the vigor and richness of the debate, empowering the discerning mind to deliberate, judge, and value the true merit of each perspective. Educational institutions, in their very essence, are the forums of this intellectual marketplace. In an educational environment, students' minds are not passive recipients, but active participants. They are both the vendors and the buyers, pitching their nascent ideas, critiquing others, and continuously refining their own in response. The classrooms become space where assumptions are dissected, arguments are forged, and perspectives are broadened. But why is an educational setting particularly conducive to this? First, the inherent diversity, be it racial, cultural, or ideological, ensures a variety of viewpoints. Each student comes with a unique background and perspective, enriching the collective discourse. Second, the very purpose of education, which is not just to inform, but to challenge and elevate, makes it natural habitat for the free interplay of ideas. Don't the most groundbreaking discoveries often challenge the status quo? John Stuart Mill's defense of free speech is most famously articulated in his work on liberty in 1859. Mill argued that no one has the infallible truth. By suppressing an opinion, society assumes that it is infallible, which is a fallacious assumption. If an opinion is true, society loses the opportunity to exchange error for truth by suppressing it. Even if a silenced opinion is an error, it may contain a portion of the truth. Without a regular challenge, accepted truths become dead dogma, beliefs that are held merely as beliefs without understanding the rationale behind them. Mill's defense is not just about the freedom to express, but also the freedom to contest. He believed that only through rigorous testing in the crucible of debate does the truth shine forth. In addition to the marketplace of ideas, free speech also promotes critical thinking and democratic principles. Democracy is not just a form of governance, it's a mindset, a culture. And at the heart of this culture lies critical thinking. For a democracy to flourish, its citizens must be thinkers, questioners, and yes, even dissenters. Educational institutions serve as the crucibles where such citizens are forged. By upholding the very principles that anchor our democratic society, we teach our students not just to accept information passively, but to challenge, debate, and form their own views. We're not merely imparting knowledge, but nurturing a habit of mind. Let's consider the Socratic method, a pedagogical approach that uses questioning to stimulate critical thinking and to illuminate ideas. Instead of conveying information directly, this method encourages the student to engage with concepts and to explore the depths of their understanding. Socrates, with his probing questions, taught us that knowledge is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. By posing probing questions, educators challenge students to think and articulate their reasoning, creating an environment where knowledge is not passively received but actively constructed. Educational institutions are arenas for critical engagement and democratic preparation. The lessons learned in the dynamics of a classroom debate are not confined within its walls. They are carried out into town halls, into balance, and into the very fabric of our society. Justice Brandeis, a staunch advocate for free speech, eloquently argued that to fulfill our political duty as citizens, we must be able to engage in open criticism of governmental policies without fear of reprisal. He warned that stifling unpopular opinions not only encroaches on individual freedom, but ultimately suffocates democracy itself. Brandeis urged that while legislatures may have the power to limit genuinely dangerous speech, they must be precise in defining this danger. The fear of dissent alone is not sufficient. He emphasized that the greatest menace to freedom is an inert people, and that public discussion is a political duty, and that this should be a fundamental principle of the American government. As we consider the role of free speech in educational settings, it is incumbent upon us to embrace our dual function as educators and guardians of democratic tradition. By creating a culture where dialogue and dissent are not only permitted but encouraged, we cultivate the critical thinkers and informed citizens who are essential to the vitality of our democracy. Justice Brandeis' assertion remains a guiding principle. Public discussion is a political duty, and this political duty finds its roots in formative social exchanges. Therefore, as we deliberate on the significance of free speech in our schools and universities, let us reflect upon the gravity of our role in promoting a culture of dialogue and dissent, where not only educators, but also architects of the democratic culture. At the end of this video, I have a question for you. How does curtailing free speech in educational settings impact the broader democratic fabric of the society? Feel free to leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.